Hello, I'm Cynthia. In Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude, there is a line about Colonel Aureliano Buendia that I can never forget. An artisan without memories, whose only dream was to die of fatigue in the oblivion and misery of his little goldfishes. The colonel spent his last years casting goldfishes, melting them down, recasting them, and melting them again. It looked meaningless, even absurd. But for him, this endless cycle became the rhythm of life. The little goldfishes became his motif. Repetition itself was his way of resisting oblivion and forgetfulness. So, what is a motif? In biology, a motif is a sequence of DNA bases that repeats again and again, seemingly simple, yet powerful enough to carry the memory of life across generations. In literature, a motif is an image or theme that recurs throughout a story. The goldfishes, or the ghost in Hamlet, guiding us toward a deeper meaning. And in anthropology and sociology, motifs appear in the rituals and myths that human beings replay endlessly. Weddings, coming-of-age ceremonies, festivals, funerals. These patterns create order in a life full of uncertainty. In short, a motif is a recurring rhythm. It is life's way of resisting the void. In my dad's life, the motif is certainty. He lives according to a set of fixed rhythms. At exactly 8 o'clock each morning, the robot vacuum starts with a single beep, like a morning bell announcing the day. At noon, he prepares lunch for a cat, and the cat is picky. The menu is even more fixed than my dad's. The canned food has to be the right flavor, or it refuses to eat. The meat must be cut into uniform pieces and then microwave exactly for 15 seconds. Not a second more, not a second less. At 8 in the evening, he turns on the stereo and plays the same playlist, which hasn't changed in 5 years. The fun thing is, this regularity doesn't stop with daily life, but extends into the yearly cycle. Do any of you grow plants every year? If so, you know the sense of rhythm that comes with planting and harvesting. In spring, he orders plants online and waters them carefully. By autumn, the harvest is usually meager. This year, 1 lolly pomegranate from an entire bonsai. But still, for him, the ritual is complete. In winter, the plants don't usually survive because, honestly, he's not very good at keeping them alive. So he clears the balcony, preparing for the cycle to start again. To outsiders, this life might look rigid, but to him, this predictability is comfort. His rhythm is like classical music, measured with almost no variation. Once I asked him, "Don't you ever find this boring?" He smiled and replied, "Repetition is a security. Knowing exactly what comes next, it's like listening to a familiar song again and again and never growing tired of it." And slowly I understood, my dad's motif is certainty, finding meaning through repetition. But my motif is very different. My motif is uncertainty. I love baking, but none of my cakes ever turn out the same. Sometimes I follow the recipe with confidence, only to end up with a cake collapsed flat as a plane. Sometimes I throw in a strange spice, like cinnamon, and discover a surprisingly new flavor. My kitchen is like a laboratory, and every cake is an adventure into the unknown. My playlists are just the same. Some people, like my father, stick to a single genre, but I can't. The first thing I do when I open Spotify is to hit daily mix or shuffle. My playlist might begin with a Schubert piano piece, and then leap to a Cantonese rock song from the 70s, and then suddenly shift to Latin American folk or an indie band I've never heard before. To others, it might sound chaotic, but to me, that very unpredictability is the joy. My studies follow the same pattern. Do any of you also enjoy crossing boundaries between subjects, like reading science, but also loving poetry, or being drawn to history while exploring psychology? I wander between biology, philosophy, literature, and anthropology. Biology makes me curious about the secrets of life. Philosophy pushes me to ask about existence itself. Literature helps me to feel the depth of human emotion, and anthropology reveals the diversity of cultures and societies. And I'm sure many of you too have felt the spark when you encounter a way of life completely different from your own. Even in languages, I jump between German, Spanish, and Japanese like a traveler crossing borders. I often feel like a traveler between disciplines, stepping into one room of knowledge after another, never wanting to settle in just one. And as for the future, if you had to draw your own life 10 years from now, what would it look like? A straight road, a mountain, a circle, or maybe something else entirely? As for me, I would probably sketch a cloud, blurred, shifting, without a fixed shape. Not because I'm lost, but because I want my future to stay open, to let uncertainty bring new possibilities. At first, I thought my father's certainty and my uncertainty were opposites, but gradually I realized they are both motifs. My father resists the void through repetition, cleaning, feeding, and tidying. I resist it through exploration, trying, failing, wondering, and wondering. The anthropologist Claude Levi-Strauss once said that myths are built on binary oppositions, life and death, order and chaos, the familiar and the unknown. Take the Greek myth of Persephone. Her yearly descent into the underworld brings winter, and her return brings spring. Here, death and rebirth are woven into a single cycle, a motif of balance. Or consider the Chinese myth of Pangu. He separates sky and earth, creating order out of primordial chaos. Here, chaos and order are not enemies, but complementary forces, each giving meaning to the other. These myths remind us that motifs often live in pairs. To me, certainty and uncertainty are just such a pair, not enemies, but mirrors of each other. My father's motif has taught me the value of order and discipline. My motif reminds me that life's meaning often appears only in the unknown. Repetition and exploration may look like contradictions, but together they weave humanity's way of resisting oblivion. When we discover our own motif, it is like leaving an imprint on the vast flow of time. It reminds us that no matter how the world changes, our existence is not blank. It carries texture and trajectory. So I ask you, what is your motif? It may be something small, but through its return again and again, it tells you who you are and gives you a point of certainty in an uncertain world. Thank you.